Welcome to Beyond the Needle, the aesthetics business podcast. I'm your host, Emily Ruse. I'm a former clinic manager turned digital marketing freelancer, and I've had the privilege of helping dozens of aesthetic practitioners across the UK and beyond grow their business. So I know firsthand just how challenging it can be to build a successful aesthetics practice in today's competitive market. Each week, I'm here to share real, actionable strategies and bring on expert guests to help you level up, attract more patients, and build a standout brand. Let's turn your passion into a thriving business together. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Needle podcast. And today we're talking about 6 ways to turn Instagram followers into paying clients. And I'm really excited about this topic because, as many of you know, I am really passionate about social media marketing and the power of social media marketing for driving new business to aesthetic practitioners and clinics. But there are a lot of people out there who aren't using Instagram to its full potential, who might not be posting enough or posting without strategy, and you're not seeing the results from Instagram that you want to be seeing, because at the end of the day, for many of you, your main primary goal of social media marketing is going to be to get new leads and inquiries and ultimately new patients through your clinic door. And if you're not seeing that, or if you're not seeing enough of that, then this episode is for you, because you might have hundreds or even thousands of followers watching your content or liking your content or engaging, but how do you actually get them to book an appointment? That is what a lot of people struggle with, and I'm guessing if you're listening to this episode, it's something that you want to improve. And today we're going to uncover this step by step. But before we dive in, there's one thing that I want everybody to understand. You don't need 1 million followers to have a thriving aesthetics practice. You don't even need thousands of followers. Even if you only have a few hundred followers, if engaged and nurtured the right way, can translate into a fully booked schedule. It's all about connection and smart strategy. You know, I've in the past worked with clinics and practitioners with tens of thousands of followers who weren't getting consistent leads and inquiries through their content. And then I've worked with people who have less than 1,000 followers who get regular leads and inquiries through. It's not about the amount of followers you have. But if you think about it, if you're a one-person band, or even if you're a small clinic, you don't need to have hundreds of new inquiries coming through a month to have a successful aesthetics business. You just need regular leads and inquiries coming through. And you don't need thousands of followers to be getting that. You just need an engaged community. It's all about quality over quantity, nurturing the followers that you have so that they trust you enough to book with you. Okay, so let's jump in because there's a lot to unpack in this episode. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is selling on stories. So I wanted to start here because this is probably the easiest way to ensure consistent leads and inquiries through Instagram. Instagram stories are pure gold for turning followers into clients when you use them right. And I know the word sell can sound pushy and it can feel uncomfortable to feel like you're actively selling on Instagram, but we're not talking about posting spammy book now, buy now content. We're talking about showing up on your stories daily in a genuine, helpful way that naturally leads to sales over time. So stories are your secret weapon for converting followers into paying clients. And that's because the people who watch your stories are already interested, and they're likely your warmest followers who want more of you or who are further down in that buyer's journey. So you have to think of it as, when it comes to your Instagram content strategy, the posts that you're putting out there should be designed to A, bring awareness to yourself and your page and to help new people find you so that they perhaps convert into a follower and then enter your buyer's journey from there. And then you've got content that nurtures those followers, that helps dispel myths or barriers to purchase and establish yourself as an expert in their eyes. And then you've got your sales content, your promotional content. So that's your kind of your social proof, your before and after photos, your testimonials, your client testimonials to camera. And all of those things are really, really important. But stories should form part of that strategy as well. Because, like I say, the people who are watching your stories, they're likely your warmest followers. They're the people who are further down that buyer's journey process and they're interested, they're thinking about booking a consultation, they're understanding the options, or they're still kind of building their trust with you and they just perhaps need that little push to actually finally book in. And stories let you connect in a really casual, authentic way that's much harder to do on the polished feed. So, Instagram stories create an authentic bond and they kind of give people a sneak peek into life behind the pretty content on the grid, turning followers into fans. Fans, not just followers, and fans are the ones that become paying clients. And the beauty of stories is that they disappear in 24 hours. So you can show up every day without overwhelming your profile. And given Instagram's algorithm, only a small percentage of your followers see any given piece of content. And that means that if you only mention your services occasionally, lots of your audience will miss it. So consistency is key. If you show or mention what you offer daily or several times a week, you increase the chances that each follower will eventually catch on. Okay, so how do you sell on stories without feeling like a sleazy salesperson? Well, the trick is to mix value, personality, behind the scenes, and subtle promotion. So think of the 80-20 rule. 80% of your story should be engaging or informative or more kind of showing your personality or behind the scenes, and 20% should be directly promoting a service. So for you, an aesthetic practitioner, your stories content might include quick skincare tips, behind the scenes look at your clinic, client testimonials or transformations, or poll or question stickers to engage viewers. And snippets of your daily life or personality are important too. And that could be your morning coffee run or parts of your morning routine, going on a dog walk, or even sitting in your car and just having a really laid back kind of chat to camera about something that's gone on in your day that's kind of relevant to your audience. Or maybe if you're a mum and your audience are mums, you could go on there and talk about something going on in mum life that will resonate with your target audience. So it's bringing in like parts of your life or parts of your day to day. They might not be directly connected to what you do in terms of the treatments that you offer, but they're relatable to your target audience. So, for example, you could be sitting in your car. This is probably a good one for this time of year. You could be sitting in your car and you could just talk to camera about while you're reapplying your SPF. And you could say, one great tip that I have for any busy mum who struggles to remember to reapply her SPF is keep an SPF in your car. I keep one in my car under my dashboard and I reapply it whenever I'm on school run, that kind of thing. So you're kind of bringing in elements of what you do and making them connect to your target audience and showing off a little bit more of your personality and more of that behind the scenes, out of clinic style content that's going to help people feel like they know you more as a person rather than a practitioner. Selling on Instagram becomes so much more natural and much easier if you've built trust by showing up and giving value regularly, because people feel taken care of, they feel understood, they feel like they can connect to you, and then of course they want to buy from you. Now, within those daily stories, weave in your offers casually. So, for example, if you're demonstrating a laser treatment on your story, show the machine, how it works with the beeps and the cool goggles that you're wearing as you do it. Explain what it does in simple terms. Maybe show a 5 to 10 second clip of the procedure. And then you could add text to that video saying, I love doing this laser for removing sunspots, etc., etc. I've got 2 spots open this week if anyone's been waiting to try this. See how relaxed that feels. You're educating and then softly mentioning availability. No hard sell, just an invitation. Or you could say it's a slow day and you've had a cancellation. Hop on your stories with your face on camera and just say, hi everyone, I've had a last minute opening at 4 o'clock for a skin booster session. If you've been thinking about skin boosters or if you've got an upcoming event that you want to go for, shoot me a DM, first come, first serve. You're not begging, you're offering something valuable and timely. Another way that you can utilize stories for selling is by leveraging interactive stickers. So think polls, quizzes, question boxes. For instance, you could run a poll saying, considering polynucleotides for under-eye tiredness, and then have a few different options for people to click on. For example, yes, send me more details, or I need more information. And then for everyone who votes, you have a perfect list of warm leads, which you can then follow up with in the DMs. And I'll cover more about DMs in a little bit, but just sending them a quick message saying something along the lines of, hey, I saw you wanted more info on polynucleotides. What would you like to know? I'm happy to answer. And then, of course, you've got the question sticker, which you could put over the top of a photo, or you could hop on and do a quick face to camera video. And you could say, I've got a spare 20 minutes today on my lunch break. Ask me anything about anti-aging treatments, or ask me anything about chemical peels, or ask me anything about skin boosters. When someone asks, you share the answer publicly on stories. And then maybe casually mention, if this sounds like something that's right for you, just hit reply, or just DM the word peel and I'll send you more information. You're positioning yourself as an expert by answering the questions that people are asking about specific treatments, and then you're inviting them in and making it easy for them to reach out for more information or to book a consultation. Another way that I love to sell on stories is utilising patient transformations and storytelling. And the best way to do this is to really hone in on the pain points and problems that your target audience have that make them want to consider treatments in the first place. So it's not just about putting before and after photo out there and saying, look at this great result, this is what we did, let me know if you want more information. It's about really making it relatable to your target audience and then positioning the treatment that you're talking about as the solution for those concerns that they have. So for example, you could do this on stories by having kind of 3 to 4 story slides, starting with a story that says, can you relate to this? You feel like your face looks tired, even though that's not how you feel on the inside. You feel like skincare alone just isn't cutting it anymore, but you don't know where to start with treatments. You've lost confidence in your appearance as you've gotten older. You long to feel as great as you did 10 years ago. You'd like to take a proactive approach to the aging process, but looking natural is important to you. You don't want to make big changes to your appearance, but you'd like to make some subtle changes that help you appear refreshed and restored. Or you just like to talk to someone and understand the options better. Next slide. If so, insert treatment here could be perfect for you, especially if you agree with any of these statements. And then list some of the things that the treatment can help with. So for example, you have mild to moderate skin laxity. You want a procedure that requires less downtime than surgery. You're looking to enhance your skin texture and tone by stimulating collagen production. You want to improve the appearance of your lower face. Things like that like you're kind of listing how the benefits of the treatment, but framing it in a way that your audience will relate to. Then next slide. This could be you. And then you share the before and after photo, and then a little bit about the patient story. So this patient came to see me because she was feeling exactly like you did. She wanted to XYZ. This is how we approached it. She was delighted with the end result. And I'm sure you'll agree, she looks so much fresher, so much more confident, that kind of thing. And then you could finish off with another slide with a couple more before and after photos of the same treatment. And again, this could be you, restored confidence, happy in your appearance, in control of your own aging journey, aging in a way that you choose, looking and feeling better than you have in years. So you're drawing people in by asking them, can they relate to this? And then listing statements, things that they will likely be able to relate to, like they're looking tired, they lost confidence in their appearance, they want, they're fed up of spending loads of money on skincare and not seeing the results they want. And then you're showing them a patient or patients who were once in the same position that they are now, and how working with you has helped them overcome all their problems and pain points and brought them into a place where they're now fresher, more confident, and have achieved all of their goals. So, as you can see, there are so many ways that you can bring selling on stories into your content strategy. But most importantly, you must be consistent. So showing up, daily, every other day, but, a handful of times a week builds momentum. If you disappear for weeks, people will forget, or, your stories will fall off their radar. If you're posting regularly, then your stories are going to consistently show up for them at the top of their home feed. And remember that not everybody is going to see every single story or post that you put out. So never feel like you're annoying people or people are going to get sick of you, because remember, people follow you because they're genuinely interested in you and they want to learn from you, and they're considering having a treatment with you because, that's the whole reason they're following you. They want to see your content and they're not going to see everything you put out there. So it is important that you're being consistent. And if you're there every day, or, even briefly, even if you're only putting a few stories out a day, you stay top of mind. They see you packing up after a long day of treatments, or unboxing new products and stocking up your cupboards with your new filler order that's come in, or your skincare order that's come in. It's not just about selling, it's about showing parts of your day to day and, telling people what's on your agenda for the day, or something that a patient has asked you that day that has inspired you to come on and talk about that topic in more depth. Showing up regularly reminds them that you're there, so that when they're ready to book a treatment, who do they think of? They're going to think of you. And it's when you feel like you're mentioning your offer and your services so often that it might annoy people, that's probably when you're finally mentioning it enough. So in other words, don't be shy. Chances are most followers still haven't heard your message the first few times. Repetition is not pushy, it's effective. And to ensure it never feels pushy, always frame that sales content in a way that it helps the client to think about the examples I've just given. You're not saying book in for microneedling now or book in for fillers now. You're talking about the problems that people have that they're going to be able to relate to, and then you're talking about how those treatments can help them overcome those problems. So for example, instead of click here to book microneedling, try here's what microneedling can do for you: smoother texture, smaller pores, improved lines and wrinkles, confidence without having to wear makeup. If you've been curious, I'm booking consultations for next week. Click here to book directly or message me microneedling and I'll send you all the details. You're highlighting the benefits and the way that it's going to help them, and you're giving a clear but gentle call to action that makes it really easy for them to take the next step. And lastly, one other thing I want to mention with stories, because I think this puts a lot of people off, is the belief that you need to look perfect before showing up. So don't worry if your hair isn't perfect, or if you fumbled a word, or if you're not wearing any makeup today. People actually prefer the real, unfiltered you on stories. No one wants perfect anymore. I completely understand wanting to look your best if you're filming a video that's going to go on your feed. That feels a little bit more formal, right? But your stories are chatty. So if you're on an admin day and that's your only day that week that you can show up on stories, please don't worry about the fact that your hair and makeup isn't done. People want to see the real you behind the account and behind your business, so show your personality. That realness builds trust, and trust builds clients. So, a couple of action steps from this part of the episode. Show up daily on stories if you can, even if it's just a few short clips or a few short story slides, and start integrating a mixture of value or personal stories and soft sell mentions of a service. So, for example, on Monday, share an injectable aftercare tip. And then maybe later that day, post a before and after photo with that kind of, can you relate to this? If so, this treatment is perfect for you. This is why my patient came to see me. This is like, she's been where you are now. This is what she was dealing with. This is how this treatment has helped her. Would you like more information? And then put a poll up where people can say, yes, send me the details, or direct them to send you a specific word in your DMs and you'll get back to them with more information. Do this every day or as many times as you can a week in a balanced way. So a few action steps I want you to take from this part of the episode, because I feel like this stories part is very, very important, but it's very, very meaty and I don't want you to get overwhelmed with it. So I want you to start showing up daily on stories and make it a real commitment to yourself. If you really can't manage every day, every other day, even if it's just a few short stories a day. So plan each day, maybe in your notes app, what you're going to post on Monday to Friday. And make sure you're including a mixture of value or personal stories and soft sell service mention stories. So for example, on Monday, share an injectable aftercare tip, and then later that day, post last minute availability story for our appointment you've got coming up, and give people a link to book directly or ask them to DM you a certain word for more details. And try and do this every day in a really balanced way. Another thing I want you to do is use one interactive sticker this week that can lead to a sale. So for example, post a poll on your stories asking followers which treatment they are most interested in trying. Everyone who engages is a potential client. They're a warm lead. Follow up with a friendly DM, offering more information, asking them what questions they'd like to ask, or an exclusive invite for a free consultation. And then I also want you to do a behind the scenes challenge. So pick one day to do a mini day in the life on stories. Show a few moments throughout your clinic day. So prepping your treatment room, mixing up a facial or preparing filler on your treatment trolley before a patient comes in, your coffee break, a snippet of a treatment if you can, restocking products. Make sure to casually mention a service while doing this. So for example, these are the serums I use in our deluxe facial. I custom blend them for each client's skin. This not only educates, but it normalizes talking about your services daily. Selling on stories in this authentic, everyday way will start to feel natural over time, and you won't overthink it as much, because I know in the beginning it can be very easy to overthink it and to procrastinate doing it. I also fall off the radar doing it altogether because it feels like it's taking a lot of effort and a lot of brain space. But the more you do it, the more natural it will become, and you'll find yourself picking up your phone and coming up with story ideas or posting stories without really even thinking about it. You just want to frame it in your mind in a way that you're basically becoming that helpful expert friend who's there every day for your followers. Sometimes you're entertaining or educating them. Sometimes you're inspiring them through sharing parts of your own experience or things that have worked for you. And sometimes you're letting them know how they can get even more from you by booking with you. This daily rapport builds so much trust that when you say, hey, I have this thing that can help you, here's how to get it, or here's how I helped my patient achieve it, or can you relate to this? If so, this treatment could be the perfect option for you. It doesn't feel pushy, it just feels right. And when done right, your Instagram story viewers will start converting to consultations and bookings, and you'll wonder why you ever hesitated to show up in the first place. So let's move on to the Instagram feed. Those posts that you carefully craft with captions and you put a lot of effort into. One simple tweak that can massively boost your results is always including a strong call to action at the end of your captions or at the end of your carousel slides. So in plain English, tell your followers exactly what you want them to do next. It might be click the link in my bio, leave a comment, send us a DM, tag a friend, or even just save this post for later. This might sound obvious, but you'll be surprised just how often businesses forget to ask for engagement or action. They post a gorgeous before and after photo or really educational, impactful carousel post, but they forget to tell their audience what they want them to do after they've consumed that piece of content. And then they don't really get anything from it. Their follower reads it and thinks that was great and then keeps scrolling. And, 5 minutes later, they've completely forgotten that they ever consumed that piece of content. You want them to inquire, but remember, not every post is designed for inquiries. Sometimes you just want people to visit your profile and follow. Sometimes you want people to go to the link in your bio and learn more, or read a blog post, or, book a consultation, reach out. Sometimes you want them to share so that you get more eyes on that piece of content. It's understanding what to do when and what call to action should be going with what type of post. But every piece of content should have a purpose. If you're not guiding your audience onto the next step, you're leaving it up to chance. And an effective way to use call to actions is to phrase them as a question, because people are naturally inclined to respond. So if you think about it, on social media, people scroll really quickly. They're consuming content after content after content. But a direct prompt like, tell me in the comments which treatment you choose, or tell me in the comments if you've ever made this mistake, or what else would you add to this, or what's one thing you've tried that's worked for you. That can be the difference between someone just liking your post versus actually commenting or entering your DMs. That engagement not only warms them up, because a comment is a micro commitment that makes them more likely to take bigger actions later down the line, like booking, but it also boosts your post in the algorithm, meaning more eyes on it and more potential followers, and then down the line, more potential clients. So what does a strong call to action look like for you, an aesthetic practitioner? Well, here are a few examples. So after an informative post, say about your top treatments for improving jowls, you might end it with a call to action that says something like, want to know which treatments are right for you, or can you relate to this and want to understand more about the options? Comment info below, or DM info, and I'll send you more information. This invites engagement and opens a direct line of communication. And it is proven. When I use this call to action on my clients' posts, it gets them leads, because it makes it really easy for people to take the next step. even if they're not 100% sure what's right for them or how to book a consultation or whether they need to book a consultation. And then once that person has DM'd or commented or reached out, you know that that person's interested in your services and you can follow up with them. You can treat them like you would any other lead. Or on a post showing a glowing, radiant post facial before and after of a client, or an acne scarring before and after. For example, you could put a call to action that says, ready for your turn, ready to achieve results like this. Click the link in my bio to book a consultation. Even better if you can put some sort of time sensitive call to action here. So for example, click the link in my bio to book your consultation. I'm currently offering complimentary consultations until the end of the month, but they're limited, so get in quick. A clear instructions book with a bit of an incentive. Or on a video of a laser treatment demo or any treatment demonstration, have a call to action at the end of your caption that says something along the lines of, have questions about how this laser works? Ask me below. This encourages comments which you can reply to and even take to DMs if needed. Or on a carousel post of skincare tips, you could have, save this post so you can refer back to these tips later, and tag a friend who needs to see number 3. You're asking for a save and for them to share it with a friend, which increases the reach of your content, bringing new eyes to your page. Or even something as simple as double tap if you agree after a relatable statement will help you get more likes, which boosts visibility. So always think about the action that you want people to take at the end of your content. Not every piece of content that you put out there should be designed to get new leads and should be asking people to DM a word if they want more information, or to go to the link in your bio to book a consultation, because it's not all about selling. You also want people to comment and to open up the conversations with people in the comments of the DMs, or you want them to save the post or like it or share it with a friend. So make sure you're thinking about creating content for those different stages of the buyer's journey and pairing them with the right call to actions. If your goal is engagement, to warm up the algorithm or gather insights, ask a question or ask for a comment or a tag or a share. If your goal is traffic or bookings, direct them to the link in your bio and make sure that leads to a booking page or consultation form. Make sure it's really easy for people to find what stage they need to do next. If possible, have a booking link in your bio that just takes people straight to the booking page of your website. You don't want the only call to action in your link in bio to be taking them to your website homepage and they need to find where they need to go next. You just need to make it really easy for people, or you will get people drop off. If your goal is direct leads, invite DMs or use a comment a keyword approach. So you can follow up with each commenter individually in DMs with details and then follow up with them if they don't instantly book or come back to you. You treat them as leads as you would anybody else. But make your call to actions really clear and simple. Don't give people 10 things to do in one caption. Choose one primary action. For instance, don't say like, comment, share and follow. That's too much. Pick one that matters the most and phrase it strongly. And put it right at the end of your caption after you've delivered the valuable content. You can even make it stand out by adding an emoji either side of it, or putting it in a new line so it's really visually clear, or putting it in capital letters. But remember, a call to action doesn't always have to be buy now or book now. In fact, on social media, often the call to action is a micro step like comment, share, DM, click, etc. And these micro steps eventually lead to the macro step of booking an appointment. Not every post needs to directly push that sale, but every post should prompt some kind of action, even if it's just engagement. This keeps your audience actively involved rather than passive. It's the difference between talking at your followers versus having a conversation with them and building an engaged community. So a couple of things you can do from here. Review your last kind of 3 to 5 Instagram posts. Did you explicitly ask your audience to do something in the caption? If not, make a mental note to improve this going forwards and practice writing your call to action. So draft 3 to 5 call to action lines that you can use in upcoming posts that include that mixture of actions you might want people to take. For example, liking, commenting, DMing you a specific word, going to the link in your bio. And then start testing them and see which call to actions get the best response from your audience. And this week, I want you to experiment with a question call to action. So post something that invites followers' opinions or stories. For example, share a funny meme about skincare and ask, what's the biggest skincare myth you've heard? I'm curious, or post a before and after photo and ask people to guess in the comments what treatment they have had. This kind of call to action is purely for engagement, but notice the interaction that you will get off the back of it, and then be ready to reply and converse with your audience. That's the kind of relationship building that eventually leads to bookings. So the next thing I want to talk about is welcoming new followers with a direct message. So when someone hits that follow button in your profile, that is a really big deal. It means that they're interested enough in your aesthetic content to want to hear more from you. And this is the golden opportunity to turn a casual follower into a warm lead by making a personal connection right away. The best way to do that is by sending a simple welcome message to new followers. I feel like this is something that is really, really overrated. We all want more followers, right? And I think people sometimes get really focused on how many followers they're getting and how quickly their following number is growing by. But you don't need to be, like I spoke about earlier, you don't need loads of followers to have a successful business. Even if you're only getting, 10 new followers a week or every couple of weeks, if they're real, genuine people who are your target audience, who are genuinely interested in what you do, that's an amazing amount of new people to be attracting into your business. I know they're not direct leads right at that point, but they're interested in you, and they're likely to become a direct lead down the line if you execute your content strategically and you nurture them in the right way. So when you get a new follower, you want to make the most of that new follower, and sending them a message is a great way to make a good first impression. Now, you might be thinking, isn't it a bit weird to message someone who's only just followed me? But it's all about how you do it. I'm not talking about a spammy, automated, thanks for following, here's 10% off, buy now message. I'm talking about a short, genuine, friendly hello that makes your new follower feel seen and appreciated. And like the message has been written for them, it's not just a copy and paste job for every new follower that you get, even though it is going to be. But when done right, it can really set you apart, because hardly any businesses take the time to do this, and those that do see real benefits. In fact, one study found that proactively DMing new followers can directly lift sales. One e-commerce example showed about a 4% increase in orders just from welcome DMs. Even if you're not an online store, which if you're likely going to be an aesthetic practitioner if you're listening to this, but that principle still holds. It's a personal touch that can nudge someone from a follower to a customer. So think about your own experience. Have you ever followed, say, maybe a coach or a local boutique or a personal trainer or, anyone like that, and then have gotten a lovely DM like, hey, your name, thank you so much for following. Let me know if you need anything or have any questions about something related to what you do. It feels good, right? Kind of like walking into a store and the shop owner gives you a warm welcome. You're more likely to stick around, and that's exactly what we're going for here. So for you, an aesthetic practitioner or clinic, it could be as simple as, hi, and then the person's name. I wanted to say welcome and thank you for being here. Would you like any more information on any of the treatments that I offer? If you're ever curious or have any questions at all, please just shoot me a message. I'm here to help. I hope you enjoy my content, and then sign it off with your name. Short, sweet, and no pressure. And you can tailor that to your personality. If you want it to be more formal, absolutely. But what I would say is it just needs to be a nice welcome. That's all. It doesn't need to be salesy. And I think it's important that you include a question. The example I just gave was, would you like any more information on any of the treatments that I offer? Because I have trialed a few different types of these messages, and I do find the ones with the open question asking if they want any more information gets the most responses, because you're leaving it open. A lot of people will send these messages to their new followers where they just say, thank you for following, this is what I do, this is my website, this is where you can make a booking. Maybe they might even throw in a discount off their first booking, but that feels very salesy and it feels very automated, right? It doesn't feel personal, and it's not leaving it open for people to come back to you. Like, people are going to read that and they're going to go, great, I'll come back to that later if I decide to make a booking. But if you're saying, would you like any more information on anything, is you're asking people a question, and like I said earlier, people are more likely naturally to respond to questions, and it feels more personal. So it kind of feels rude if they ignore you. They might come back and say, thanks for the message, don't have any questions at the moment, but I'm really interested in what you do and I'm happy to be here, kind of thing. that's fine. Or they might come back and say, actually, yeah, I would like some more information. I'm dealing with XYZ at the moment, or I saw you did this and I'd like to know more about it. And then you've opened up a conversation. So I just bear that in mind when putting your message together. You don't want it to sound too formal, you don't want it to sound too automated. And I would avoid at this stage filling it with links to your website or to your booking page, because that's what your bio is for, and people know where to go if they want to make a booking, if they're ready to make a booking. And at that stage, they're not likely going to be ready. They've just followed you, they've just entered your buyer's journey because they've just found you for the first time. The goal really is to start a conversation and help build that know, like, trust factor. And like I say, many might just respond with a thank you, or they might not respond at all, and that is okay. Plenty will remember that you reached out, and that builds goodwill. And then some might take the opportunity to go, actually, yeah, I've been struggling with acne scars, or I'm starting to notice more prominent signs of aging, or, you know, I've got dark circles, and I want to know more about the options. Bam, conversation started. Need identified. You can guide them to a solution. I have seen so many practitioners get bookings directly from a welcome DM, and it can happen that directly because you opened the door, you sent a nice message, and you've left it open for them to come back to with their own questions. So before I move on to the next section, there might be a few questions going on in your mind right now about this. So I'm just going to address a couple of quick things and then we'll move on. But you don't need to message every new follower if you're gaining a lot per day. So just focus on those who seem to be your target audience. Look at their profiles before messaging. If they're another practitioner, obviously don't message. If they're a local business, I would still message them because they might be an independent business and the business owner might genuinely be interested in what you do. If not, it might just open up the conversation with that local business owner in a way that could bring you a nice, helpful partnership down the line. But I would look at their profile, and if it looks like your target audience, then that could be a great potential lead to welcome. Keep a template in your notes, or you could save it as a saved reply in your Instagram settings, and then just tweak it before you send it, making it personalised to their name. But having it as a save reply or within your notes app means that you don't have to rewrite it from scratch every time, and it just makes it a lot easier to keep on top of. And then when it comes to timing, I would say it's good to send the welcome DM within a day of them following you while you're still fresh in their minds. So maybe just take 5 minutes a day just to check through your new followers and send all of the DMs there and then. And if you get into the habit of doing this at a certain time every day, it becomes a lot easier to keep on top of, and it means you're not missing anybody. And even if someone's been following you for a while, so they're not a new follower, but maybe they've engaged with a lot of your posts, you can still start a conversation. So sending them a quick DM like, hey, and their name, I just wanted to reach out and say thank you so much for showing so much love on my posts. How did you find us? Are you in our area? This isn't exactly a new follower message, but it's similar in spirit. It makes a personal connection with an engaged follower, and that can also lead to them coming back with their questions, their concerns, and it opens up the conversation that might then eventually lead to them booking a consultation. And one other thing that's worth mentioning is that it is best to do this manually. You might be wondering whether there's a way you can automate this job. I do think there are tools out there, but Instagram discourages automated DMs. Obviously, Instagram have their own feature where you can send a automated reply to people who've already messaged you, but they do discourage automated DMs to people who haven't messaged you first. And they can feel impersonal or get flagged as spam. So I would avoid using any of those automations, because if Instagram aren't 100% happy with it, it might flag something on your account which leads you getting banned from messaging people, or your account just gets restricted, and then that will create problems for you and you won't be able to message people back. So just bear that in mind if you do ever look into any of these automated apps. There probably are apps out there. I haven't used any of them and I wouldn't use any of them for those reasons that I've mentioned. And I think unless you're getting hundreds of followers a day, it is easy to keep on top of sending them manually. And if you are getting hundreds of followers a day, it might be a good idea to get a VA to help you manage the load of your Instagram. So yeah, I would just stick to sending those messages manually. So A couple of action steps for you to take from this part of the episode. Craft your welcome DM template. So just write a 2 to 3 sentence welcome message that feels authentic to you. Include a greeting, a thank you, and an open-ended offer to help, and then save that somewhere handy. So put it in your saved replies or in your notes app on your phone. Identify new followers to message. So every day this week, just take 5 minutes to check your new followers, even if it's just a couple a day, and send them your welcome message, tweaked with their name or any personal touch. And then at the end of the week, look at how many welcome messages you sent and what responses you got. Maybe try out different phrases or different questions and just see if a specific one gets a better reaction. Did anyone turn into a booking or a strong lead? Use those insights to refine your approach and then decide how to incorporate this into your ongoing routine. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is following up with leads and inquiries effectively. So it's an amazing feeling when someone finally reaches out about your services. Maybe they send a DM saying, "Hi, I'm interested in lip fillers, can you tell me more?" Or they fill out a form on your website, or maybe they even comment on a post asking for price or more information. It's exciting, it's a potential client. But what happens next is absolutely crucial. The follow-up. And this is the step where we often lose people. But if you nail it, you can dramatically increase your conversion of inquiries into appointments. There's an old saying in sales, the fortune is in the follow-up. And it's so true. Many potential clients don't book on their first inquiry. Life gets busy, or they're still gathering information, or they're price shopping. But following up politely and persistently really is the key to gently guiding them to take action. In fact, marketing statistics have long shown that it often takes multiple touch points or reminders to close a sale. People often need to hear from you 5 to 7 times before they commit. So don't get discouraged if an interested follower doesn't schedule immediately, but also don't let them forget about you. So what does follow-up mean in this context? Well, it means if someone has expressed interest, whether by DM, comment, email, phone, whatever it might be, and they haven't yet converted into a booked appointment or purchase, you have a task. Circle back to them. And this can be as simple as a short message like, "Hey, just checking in. Did you still want to book that chemical peel?" Often that nudge is appreciated. People intend to book, but then they get distracted. Your follow-up brings it back to top of mind. So let's break down an effective follow-up process. So first of all, speed matters. So you need to respond to inquiries quickly. If someone DMs saying, "Hi, I'm interested in microneedling," or whatever treatment it is, "do you have pricing?" Try to respond as quickly as you reasonably can. If you wait a few days, that lead is cold. They've probably messaged other clinics by then and maybe even made a booking somewhere else. Ideally, within a few hours is great, but within 24 hours at the very maximum. So quick responses show professionalism and that you value their interest. So this really is important. The next thing you want to do is answer their question fully and give it a next step. So if they asked, "What's the price for X?" don't just shoot back, "It's £200. Take the opportunity to add value and lead them. So, "Hi, name. Thank you so much for reaching out. Our microneedling session starts at £200, which includes a post-treatment care kit. It's fantastic for reducing acne scars and boosting collagen. Typically, we recommend a series of 3 for best results, but this will be confirmed upon consultation. Would you like to schedule a skin consultation to see if it's a good fit for you? I have an opening next week at," and then give a couple of options for availability. "I look forward to hearing from you," and then your name. See what we did? We answered, provided context and benefit, and then offered a clear next step. Always try to include a call to action. Yes, call to actions apply to DMs and messages too, like inviting them to book or asking if they have any more questions or guiding them to a link where they can schedule directly. I wouldn't just give people your booking link and then expect them to do the rest. I would give them the booking link if they want to go through and look at your availability directly, but I would still give them a couple of options because it just feels more personal. Like you are putting the time and care into getting them booked in rather than just fobbing them off with your booking link and then leaving them to do the rest. And then also, if you've got a lot going on, you might not necessarily know that that person's actually gone in and booked. So by keeping the conversation open, it allows you to come back and follow up. And then if they go quiet, this is where the real follow-up kicks in. So say you give them the information and then crickets. That's really common. People might see your message at 10 p.m. I did it the other day when I was booking a treatment for something, and I saw their message late at night, and then I thought I'll get back to this tomorrow, and then I forgot. And this happens a lot. I think people are dealing with lots of things, they're getting lots of messages, they're consuming lots of content, they've got a lot going on in their daily life. Their conversation with you is probably not top of their priority list. So, don't get disheartened if they drop off. But after a reasonable wait, I'd say 1 to 2 days, send a friendly follow-up, something like, "Hi," their name, "I just wanted to check in and make sure that you got my last message about the microneedling. No rush at all. Let me know if you have any questions or want to book that consultation spot. I'm here when you're ready." This is gentle, not pushy. It shows that you care and you didn't forget about them. And many times they'll probably reply, "Thank you so much for the reminder. Yes, I do want to book. I just got busy. Completely slipped my mind. Yes, let's get booked in." You could, if this feels on brand for you, offer an incentive or urgency. So if someone expressed interest but is on the fence, a little nudge like a limited offer can help. For example, "We only have 2 spots left for our skin exclusive this month. If you're interested, I wanted to make sure you get a chance to grab one." Or, "Just to let you know, if you book this week, I can add a free LED to your facial since we have a promo going." Sweetening the deal on a follow-up can tip them into booking. Just be genuine and don't invent fake urgency. But if it's true, you have genuine limited spots or a current promotion running that fits with what they're inquiring about, then definitely mention it. And it's okay to follow up more than once. The key is to space it out and vary the approach. So you might send one follow-up 2 days after the initial conversation, then maybe another a week later if still no response. The second follow-up could be something new. For example, you could share a quick testimonial or before and after photo and say something along the lines of, "I remember you were curious about our laser hair removal. Here's a before and after photo from a client who's just finished 5 sessions in case you're interested." But also know when to let go. You don't want to pester someone indefinitely. If you've done maybe 2 follow-ups and there's still silence, it's okay to let that lead rest. They know how to reach you. You can always try touching base a month later with a, "Hey, just launched a new facial, thought of you, here's a special invite," or something along those lines. But don't feel you have to keep asking every few days because that can cross into pushy. So use your gut. If they really seem keen and then disappeared, maybe an extra follow-up is warranted because perhaps they're just really busy and you've fallen off their radar. But if they seemed lukewarm or maybe like they were kind of price shopping, maybe just 1 or 2 gentle nudges and then done, leave it. But follow up with past clients too. So follow-ups aren't just for new leads, it's also for nurturing existing or past patients. So if someone came for a treatment and didn't reschedule, drop a follow-up DM or a text a few weeks or months later. "How's your skin feeling after your last peel? We've just got a new hydrating treatment we think you'd love. Let me know if you want to hear more about it." That can win repeat business. So remember, follow-ups aren't just for new leads. Your current patient database is just as important. So taking this back to Instagram quickly, suppose someone participated in a little poll you ran on stories. Like maybe you asked, "Are you interested in trying skin boosters for an extra hydration?" And they clicked, "Yes, give me more information." Like I said earlier, that's a lead. And you can DM those poll voters like we discussed. You might chat and then they say, "I'll think about it," or "I'll come back to you when I know my availability in the next couple of weeks," kind of thing. A couple of days later, follow up and say, "Hey, I was thinking about you. We actually have a new client special for skin boosters this month. If you're interested, it's £50 off for first timers or 10% off for first timers, or I'm currently offering free consultations for new clients. I'd love for you to take advantage of that if you decide to go for it." This reminds them and it adds a little incentive that makes them more likely to book now. So, a few action steps for this week. Make a list of any current leads and inquiries. Do you have any hot or warm leads lingering in your DMs? Scroll through your recent DMs or comments and just see what people have been asking. If anyone's asked you about pricing or treatments or anything over the last couple of weeks, list their names. And then do 1 follow-up per outreach lead. So draft a friendly check-in message for each and send it. So for example, "Hi, just touching base. Did you want to come in for that facial or skin consultation that we discussed? I have a couple of openings on Friday and Saturday if you do. No pressure, just wanted to make sure you get a spot if you need one." Personalise it, of course, but do this for every name on your list. Another thing you can do is implement a simple tracking system, which can be as easy as a note on your phone or a spreadsheet, and jot down the name, inquiry, date of inquiry, follow-up sent, next follow-up sent, etc., etc. This will help you stay on top of it and make sure you're following and checking in with everyone who has recently inquired, commented, or DM'd on your Instagram. And another thing you can do, which will save you time in the long run, is if you often get the same questions about specific treatments, for example, pricing, whether it hurts, how long recovery, downtime, that kind of thing, have your clear, friendly answers ready to go. Maybe save them as quick replies or have them in your notes app so that you can easily tailor your responses with your pre-prepared answers and not be having to write things out time and time again. Or you could take it one step further, and if, for example, someone asks about the price for lip fillers, your answer could say something along the lines of, my lip filler treatments start from X, and by the way, in case you're wondering, the swelling goes down in about 2 days and we provide a full aftercare kit to make it really easy. You just answered a question they might not have asked yet, but are probably wondering and are probably going to ask next, which shows you're attentive and experienced. Okay, so on to the last two things that I want to talk about in this episode, and they're two of my favourite when it comes to this topic. So the next thing is lead generation competitions. I love lead generation competitions, and I've been doing them a lot with my clients recently, and they have been working so well for people. So you might be wondering, what the hell is a lead generation competition? Well, it's something I have started doing over the last couple of months and I've seen some great results from it. And basically, what a lead generation competition is a normal competition like you might have run previously before on your Instagram page. So usually it's a treatment, a high value treatment. So I've had clients do it with Softwave, Morpheus 8, Hydrofacial has worked really, really well, things like that. So you can choose a treatment, a popular treatment, something that people have heard of, ideally, and you give away a treatment or a short course of treatments, depending on whether the treatment is a one-off or needs to be done in a course, to one lucky winner. And you run it as a competition on your Instagram page. So you would run it, like I say, as a normal competition. So we're giving away a free Hydrofacial to one lucky winner. To enter, like this post, tag 2 friends, share it to your stories for an additional entry. And the fourth entry requirement, which you probably haven't done before, is DM us your email address and telephone number. Now, you run that over maybe 2-3 weeks, boost it on your Instagram. I know I've spoken for an episode, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of boosting for lead generation, but for things like this, it can work quite well. So you will boost that competition post to a very specific audience. Really think about who your target audience are, who the people are that are going to be interested in this treatment. So maybe women aged between 30 and 40 or 35 to 55 within a 50-mile radius of your clinic, and then put maybe £150 behind boosting that post to that audience. And that just makes sure that you're really getting new eyes on it and you're getting new followers coming through and people entering who aren't your existing patients. And then at the end of running this competition, you have hopefully got loads of entries. You announce your winner, and then after announcing your winner, you have a huge list of people who have also entered and sent you their contact details, who are interested in that treatment but haven't won. Think of that list of people as leads. Those people are interested, they probably have skin concerns, and they have a connection now with your clinic. So follow up with those people, and you can say something along the lines of, thank you so much for entering the competition. Unfortunately, you didn't win this time, but we would love to invite you in for a free consultation. And as a thank you for entering, we are going to give you 20% off this treatment until the end of next month, something along those lines. Now, this is a great way for getting new people through your door because you're inviting them in, you're giving them a free consultation, and you're giving them a reason to book that in quickly, because if they come in before the end of next month, then they're going to get 20% off that treatment that they were interested in winning. And this works really, really well for people. It gets new people on your follower list. So you have new people to nurture within your content and hopefully turn into a booked consultation later down the line. But you then have a long list of leads that you can follow up with and invite to come into your clinic, have a consultation with you, get to know you and your offering, and try a treatment at a slightly discounted rate. Even if you don't like doing discounts, this is still a nice way because you're not advertising a discount. You're running it as a competition and then you're following up with everyone and giving them an incentive to come in. And this works really, really well, especially if you're launching a new treatment and you want to create hype around that. So I did this recently with a client who launched Softwave, and we created a lot of hype around that treatment. Obviously, it's a big investment device. She had like over 100 people to follow up with who were interested in Softwave, and invite them in for a consultation and give them a discount on the treatment for a short amount of time. So I love this strategy, and it can be really, really powerful when you do it right. But like I say, when it comes to boosting, just make sure that you're not just boosting it to anyone and everyone, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that the people that you have to follow up with at the end are really going to be your target audience, and they're going to become repeat patients. They're going to come in, they're going to meet you, they're going to maybe have this treatment, or maybe in your consultation you decide something else is more appropriate, and they're going to become a regular patient. So it's a great way to get brand awareness, it's a great way to get new leads, and it's a great way to get new followers that you then might convert into leads later down the line. But just make sure that you pick the right treatment, you pick the right audience when you're boosting it, and that you run it over a few weeks so you really get the most out of it, and regularly share it on your stories. Maybe if there are any local businesses in the area that you know really well, ask them to share it as well. But it's a great strategy and I love it. And like I say, I have seen some great results with clients from using this. And the last thing I want to talk about today is freebies and building your email list through targeted freebies. So I love this strategy. I feel like it's something that's super, super underutilized by practitioners and clinics, and it's something that people still don't really understand. So lead magnets. Lead magnets are basically a free resource that you give away in exchange for someone's contact info, usually their email address. And it's a great way to build your mailing list, because turning followers into paying clients often requires nurturing them over time. And email marketing is one of the best ways to do that. Social media can fluctuate, algorithms change, posts get missed, but an email list is yours and will always be yours to keep. And you can reach out to those interested people whenever you want, more directly and in a more personalised way. I have said in the past that your social media following is on rented land. You have to remember that you don't own Instagram and you don't own your Instagram following. And if Instagram disappeared tomorrow, or if you lost access to your account, unfortunately, this does happen, and it does happen to a lot of people. You then lose that following list. How are you going to contact those people? But if they're on your mailing list, you own that. That's an asset that you own, and you can contact those people whenever you want, and that's not going to be taken away from you. Getting a follower onto your email list is like moving them into the VIP room, where you can then build a deeper relationship and eventually convert them into clients through consistent value and offers. So how do freebies come in? Well, people don't generally give you their email for nothing. They already follow you for free content. A freebie gives them a compelling reason. And since you're an aesthetic practitioner, your freebie should be something valuable related to aesthetics or skincare. Something that attracts the kind of person who would likely book a treatment. Essentially, a good freebie solves a small problem or gives a quick win that your ideal client cares about. So, for example, your freebie could be the ultimate skincare guide for women in their 40s, or 5 questions you should be asking in a consultation to ensure natural results, or my expert guide to building an effective skincare regime. It's something that is going to give value to your target audience and goes into more detail than you can give on social media. But keep it easy for you to create. So, a 5-page guide, PDF guide at the very maximum. It doesn't need to be super fancy, but it needs to be targeted to your ideal client's interests. So, for example, if a lot of what you do is based with injectables, you could do a beginner's guide to lip fillers, or a beginner's guide to skin boosters, understanding skin boosters and which might be right for you. Or if facials are your thing, it could be an at-home facial massage tutorial. Make sure it aligns with what you ultimately offer and what you want to be attracting people in for. So there's a logical path from freebie to your paid service. And then the key is to promote that freebie regularly on Instagram. So talk about it within your posts and stories, and use your call to action to drive people to download your freebie, or to comment a certain word if they want you to DM them the link to download your freebie. For example, if your guide is about lip fillers, any lip filler content that you post, you can end with a call to action of, would you like to learn more about this? Are you thinking about having lip fillers but are worried about looking unnatural, want to know what to expect? Comment the word lips and I'll send you the link to my free ultimate lip filler guide that tells you everything you need to know. And then you DM them that link and they download, or you have it in your link in bio and people can go and sign up and automatically get it in their inbox after they've signed up. It's a really powerful way of getting new people onto your mailing list, and you can then nurture them within your newsletter content. And if you want to take that to the next level and make this really, really optimized, you could follow up with everyone who signs up to that freebie with a welcome email funnel, which is usually a 3 to 5 email funnel that they get over a short space of time, usually within a week to 10 days, that welcomes them to your mailing list and takes them through your buyer's journey a little bit quicker. So, for example, email 1 is going to contain your guide and perhaps welcome them to your business. The next email that they get might be how to get the most out of the guide, or extra tips or personal story, a little bit of an introduction to you. And then a few days later, it might be, you might send them another email with a patient story. This patient came to see you because they were dealing with XYZ. This is how they felt. This is what you did and how they achieved their results. This patient was once where you are now, and this is how we have improved her confidence, and gives them that social proof that they might need to take the next step. And then you might send them another email a few days later that invites them to take the next step and talks about what happens during her consultation and invites them to book one in. And then beyond that, they will get your regular newsletter updates, so that you keep nurturing them within your newsletter content. But the aim is that by giving value first, aka the freebie, you build trust with that potential patient. You demonstrate your expertise and they see you as a trusted expert. And then you nurture them within your welcome series if you decide to set one of these up to help take them through that buyer's journey a bit quicker. But lead magnets are a great way to get more leads from your Instagram, because you have to think, like I said earlier, it can take people multiple touch points before they finally decide that they want to book in with you. And having that lead magnet there that gets them onto your mailing list, where they receive targeted emails, they go into your email funnel, maybe they get this welcome series, that helps speed the process up a lot quicker, and it makes sure that you're nurturing those leads a lot more effectively. You're not just relying on Instagram showing those people your content. You're taking them through to somewhere where you know they're going to see your content because you're directly emailing it straight to their inbox. And I could go a lot more into this, but I feel like I have been talking for a very, very long time, and we have covered a lot in this episode. So I might do a separate episode on email lists and building your email list and having an effective lead magnet. But for now, you should have a notebook or a head full of ideas about turning those Instagram followers into paying clients. So I really, really hope that this episode has helped. It might feel a tad overwhelming. There are a few big strategies here to implement, but you don't have to do everything at once. These strategies all complement each other, and even if you just pick one or two to start with, you'll likely see a positive shift in how your Instagram is performing for you. Think of it like adding tools to your toolbox. Over the next few weeks, months, you can gradually incorporate all of them. But this week, just choose 2 strategies from the 6 that jump out to you the most and commit to doing them regularly. Maybe you decide, all right, I'm going to start DMing new followers and I'm going to start adding strong call to actions to all my posts. Or maybe you'll focus on stories daily and launch that freebie that you've been meaning to create. Whatever feels feasible and impactful, do that. It doesn't need to be perfect. You just need to start. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with me in this jam-packed episode. I know we've covered a lot of ground, but I hope you found it truly helpful and empowering. And I can't wait to see you turn your Instagram into a client-generating machine. So, as always, if you have any questions, please come and find me over on Instagram at Bloom Beyond Studio. I'm always happy to help. And I would absolutely love it if you left this podcast a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you want more content like this, remember to subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.